March is done and I finished it up 28%. Wow. However, on the first day of March, which is the first trading day, 2nd of March, I was down 13%. Yep. So let's talk about March. So the first 2 weeks of March was literally hell for me. Like, I won't lie, no sugarcoating this shit. Let's take a look at the entire month though. The first day of March, I was down 13.12%. That is a huge loss for anybody who's a trader. A huge loss, 13% of your account. If you had $1,000 in your account, you just lost 13%. That is roughly $130. But well, it's a $50 account and I was trying my best. I made another move on the second day. I came up about $1.30, came up the third day, the fourth day, but I was unable to recuperate that money. I ended up with a $2.55 loss. That is about almost 5% of my account wiped out on that week. I was able to pull back from 13%, right? I clawed it back. Now, the second week started, first day of the week again, another hit. Boom, 15% down. It's like you come back one step, you move forward one step, you come back 3 steps. That was what it was looking like to me. Down 50%. The next day, another trade closed, another set of trades closed. I lost another 3%. On the fourth day, which is like on the 4th of the second week, on Thursday, I was able to pull up myself severely. My first biggest win of 14%. That brought me back just above the 5% loss again. So here I was. In total, I was losing roughly 11% of my account balance. Actually, let's say roughly. I was leaving 11% plus of my account balance. I was losing 11% of my account balance already after 2 weeks. Mind you, I started this account trading in March. Now, on the third week, I wasn't devastated, but there was just no trade for me until Wednesday. On Wednesday, I came in, started the week with another brutal hit. 9% down. Then I continued the week with a 4% up. And then I concluded that week with the first big win. That was a 25% gain. And that brought me up to 19%. For the first time in 3 weeks, I was profitable. And I was just not profitable. I was profitable enough to wipe out the losses I had made. And I was up about another extra 5% on it. Then the next week came, I added an extra 1% to the market. And then I lost another 7% again at the end of the week. And that brought me back to my usual 5% loss range. I was around 5% loss on the end of the week. But luckily for me, I ended the month with one last hit. A 27% gain. And all of this puts me up at a profit of $14.32, which is 28.13% of my account balance. And that month, my win rate was at 61.54%. I literally have a one chance, right? It's more like a 50-50 chance of winning or losing this trade. That's the way my trades are working right now. There is a 50-50. I mean, win one, lose one. Win one, lose one. That's the way it's looking like. But year to date, I'm quite up some good cash. I'm quite up 28% last month. This month, I'm already up 10%, but the entirety of this video is for last month. So let's take a good look at the metric of my accounts, the real metrics, right? Metrics is going to tell you everything you need to know. On the daily, I am having a chance to make 98 cents every day. It's a chance, right? It's not if I'm going to make it every day. There's a high chance. And on the week, I am likely to make $2.50. For the monthly, $14 is a chance. Now, mind you, I've only traded for 1 month. So this records is just looking, okay, if you're doing this every month, this is what it's going to look like, right? Now, the max balance drawdown was $13. And that was like on the first day. I was down $13. You can see it right here. Max drawdown of my account. But current balance, the highest balance, is fine. It's $65. I've not gone far beyond that before. Now, let's see the exact trades that led us to all of this direction. So I'm going to head into the trade history. And we're going to start from the first day of the month. So from the first day of the month, I was literally testing strategies. I didn't know what I was doing very well. I was just testing strategies, and that was how I made that huge amount of losses. I wasn't documenting it properly, so therefore, though I had a trade of 8 hours, which I didn't document surprisingly, but I started documenting them mostly though. So I started by testing the 15 minutes extreme fades and the Quasimodo Reversal, and you can see that if I filter out for just the 15 minutes trade, let's say 15 minutes fade alone, you would notice that it was a losing situation for me, and they were all British pound US dollar related, all of them. It was literally a losing game for me. But all that by the wayside, if you notice again, another thing you notice is that I have the QMRO QMC almost everywhere. So let's filter for the QMRO QMC that you're seeing here. And what you can see here is that this strategy has been my most profitable strategy in my entire journal as of the entirety of last month, giving me all my biggest win of $5, $6, and $13. This was the last win of the month that literally brought my account into an extreme green zone. It's always best when it's compiled with supply and demand. You can see without supply and demand, it's just a miracle of its own, but with supply and demand alongside with it, it is absolutely outstanding. The other strategy I have is the market structure strategy, following the market structure and trading alongside. This is also a profitable strategy, but it's also profitable when you have something like an order flow or head and shoulders with it. And you can see with head and shoulders, it's much more profitable than just market structure following. Though these trades always last longer, as you can see, 2 days, 1 day, 5 hours, almost a day, half a day. Let's check out the QMRO QMC so that you see the QMRO QMC. They last, this one took 5 days to give me this much. 5 days. However, they mostly don't last up to too long. Only very few of them last a day. You can see this is the only one that's a day. It's a day. This was within 8 hours. I was up in profit. So April has started, and it's going to be new setup, new movement, no new strategy. I don't think I'll be using a new strategy. However, I'm not going to be here teaching you guys how to trade. I'm going to be here trading with you, learning with you alongside. So if you're in for the journey, following the journal, do well to hit the subscribe button down below, and also give the video a like, share with someone who you think might find it valuable to join this channel's community, and drop a comment if you feel me, like if you're a small trader like me too.